Welcome explorers, I hope that you all are fine. So this is basically the last video of our cryptographic series and this is about modern cryptographic ciphers. For those who are new to my channel, I'd like to tell them that I had already made 3 other videos on cryptography and if you haven't seen them, then please check them out. And then I'd like to come to the reason behind my late upload of this video. Actually, the reason is because of the great cyclonic disaster that led to great loss of life and property in our region. And so I became quite late in uploading this video. And so sorry for that. And without further ado, let's start the video. So first we'd like to see some of the differences between classical and modern cryptography and why we actually resorted to modern cryptography. The first advantage is that modern cryptography works on binary bits unlike classical cryptography which relies on characters directly. Also, the algorithm used in modern cryptography is for securing message and are also made public without any risk. Whereas in classical cryptography, the method of securing a message is a secret. And also modern cryptography needs only the key to be a secret, whereas classical cryptography needs the entire system to be kept as a secret. And obviously modern cryptography is much more secure than classic cryptography. So in today's video we are going to discuss about the popular examples of symmetric key and asymmetric key encryption. So these are basically the 5 popular algorithms in symmetric key encryption, and in asymmetric encryption these are the 4 popular algorithms. So we are first of all going to dive into the symmetric key encryption first. So the first algorithm which we have is RC4. RC4 or reversed cipher 4 or ARC4 is a type of stream cipher, that is, while encrypting each of the letters of the plain text, the encrypted form of each character depends on the current state of the cipher. So basically consider you have a random set of characters or digits, that is pseudo-random cipher digit, and you want to encrypt your plain text by using these random digits. That is where RC4 comes into handy, and basically it is very secure because it is encrypted, or the plain text is encrypted based on the randomly generated digits which are actually dependent on the state cipher or the present state of the cipher. That is why it is also known as state cipher. RC4 was designed by Ron Rivest of RSA Security in 1987. RC is the acronym, particularly stands for Ron's code. It was first leaked in 1994, credits being given to unwanted spreading of it to many sites. As it had spread it unwantedly to many sites, the algorithm no longer remained a trade secret. That is why the name RC4 is quite allegedly being taken down, and it is often referred to as ARC4 or ARC4 to avoid treatment problems. And coming on to the next symmetric encryption algorithm, that is AES. It stands for Advanced Encryption Systems. It is a very popular algorithm technique, and its original name was Rich and Dial. It is the cipher which is trusted as standards by the US government and many other organizations. It is also used by the FBI to some extent. It is a specification for the encryption of electronic data established by the US National Institute of Standards and Technology in 2001. It is very extremely difficult to be taken down and decode in its 128-bit form, but AES also uses keys of 192 and 256 bits for heavy duty encryption purposes. So in its 128-bit form only, it is very difficult to be decoded. AES is largely considered impervious to all attacks, with the exception of brute force, which attempts to decipher messages using all possible combinations in the 128, 192 or 156 or 256 bit format. Still, security experts believe that AES will eventually be held as the de facto standard for encrypting data in the private standard. So coming on to the next algorithm, we have triple DES. Basically, it is the advanced form of DES algorithm, which was eventually leaked, and some hackers eventually learned to defeat the algorithm or encryption technique with relative ease. So we came up with an advanced version, that is triple DES. Basically, triple DES is a symmetric key block cipher which applies the DES cipher algorithm 3 times to each block, and each of the individual keys are of 56 bits each. So with 3 such DES keys, we have 168 bits. But experts would argue that 112 bits in key strength is more like it. Despite slowly being phased out, triple DES still manages to make a dependable hardware encryption solution for financial services and other industries. So the next key or encryption algorithm we have is QUAD. So basically, consider you have some sets of quadratic equations, and in the quadratic equations you have m variables, and out of the m variables you have n variables which is unknown. Obviously n is lesser than m, and suppose you choose a multivariable quadratic system, and that is what I said, and in the process and in the generation process you have to create or generate the cipher keys or the cipher text based on the randomly generated or iterated number of variables which we have in the quadratic system. So suppose you rely on the iteration of a randomly chosen multivariate quadratic system, where these are the system of quadratic equations, and you have m equations in the unknowns over a finite field GF. The keystream generation process simply consists in iterating the 3 possible steps in order to produce k minus 1 keystream values at each iteration. So at each iteration we basically try to generate some randomly created iterated values and try to compute those and use them or make use of the values into our cipher text. So basically QUAD is a modern stream cipher, that is, it uses a key and an initialization value to produce a keystream sequence. A key and IV setup is also defined, which also rely on multivariate quadratic system. And coming on to the last symmetric encryption algorithm technique, we have Blowfish. Blowfish is a very popular and widely used symmetric key encryption technique, and it was also proposed to replace DES. This symmetric cipher splits messages into blocks of 64 bits and encrypts them individually. So basically, as you can understand, that this is a very efficient and it is quite fast, as it is based on the divide and conquer algorithm. And also Blowfish can be found in software categories ranging from e-commerce platforms for securing payments to password management tools, where it used to protect messages, where it is used to protect passwords. And it is very flexible, and it can also be used in the public domain. So the Blowfish cryptographic cipher was designed by Bruce Schneier in 1993 and placed in the public domain. Blowfish is included in a large number of cipher suites and encryption products, including Splash ID. And also, it has its main usage in the electronic devices where we have limited processor speed, and also we want to get our works or encryption works done faster, and we want to secure messages in a short amount of time. So that is why Blowfish is a general purpose usage and also it is intended as a replacement for the aging DES. And some of the notable features of the design include key dependent S boxes and a highly complex key schedule. Then let us move to our next class of cryptographic algorithms from the modern age. That is, let us come to asymmetric key encryption. So the first type of popular asymmetric key encryption algorithm which we have is Diffie-Hellman. So Diffie-Hellman or DH key exchange algorithm is a method for securely exchanging cryptographic keys over a public communication channel. Here keys are not actually exchanged, they are jointly derived. It is named after their inventors Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman. So let me quickly show you how this algorithm actually works. So for that, let me take one example. Suppose you have two users. Suppose you have Bob and Alice. Here, suppose or assume that Bob is the sender and he wants to send some message to Alice. Suppose they jointly meet and come to an agreement and choose two numbers. First of all, they choose 3 and then they jointly choose 17. Here 3 is called the generator number and 17 is the actual number. And now suppose Bob secretly chooses his personal number, say 15. And also Alice does the same. She chooses 13. And now what Bob actually did, he actually calculated 3 to the power 15 modulus 17. And after calculating, he got 6. And now this number 6 is sent to Alice. And Alice also does the similar thing. She calculates 3 to the power 13, which is her actual private number, and calculates 3 to the power 13 modulus 17, which actually gives her 12, which then she sends to Bob. And now after doing such exchange of information, both of them come to another agreement, that is, the numbers which are exchanged, they both calculate and repeat the same procedure. For example, suppose Bob has received the number 12, so he will calculate 12 to the power 15. 12 to the power 15 modulus 17, which actually comes out to be 10. And also again, Alice will do the similar thing and she will calculate 6 to the power 13, which is our private number, modulus 17, which also gives the same result, that is 10. So here finally they have got the same result, which is 10. And so this can be actually used as a method of exchange of information between the two, because you see that first of all they only come to the known agreement of two numbers only, that is 3 and 17, and after that they both of them chose their personal numbers, that is Bob chose 15 whereas Alice chose 13, and then finally they come to the same result, that is 10. So there is a lot of mathematics involved behind. If you want to learn more, then you can pause the video and learn about the slide, what the information actually wants to convey. So moving on to our next algorithm, which is called RSA. It is basically the short form of Rivest Shamir Edelman. It is a public key encryption algorithm and the standard for encrypting data sent over the internet. So basically it is very popular in the world of internet and basically widely used for encrypting as well as sending data in a secure format all over the internet. Also, it happens to be one of the methods used in our PGP and GPG programs. Unlike triple DES, RSA is considered as an asymmetric algorithm due to its use of a pair of keys. You have got your public key, which is what to encrypt our message, and a private key to decrypt it. The result of RSA encryption is a huge batch of mumbo jumbo that takes attackers quite a bit of time and processing power to break. Also, it is neither a stream cipher nor a block cipher. Both of these use the same key to encrypt and decrypt. Also, RSA is asymmetric, meaning you encrypt with a different key than you decrypt it. Also, the advantage is that the encryption key can be made public, since people can only use it to encrypt and no one can decrypt it if you keep the decryption key to yourself. Unlike block and stream ciphers, RSA is based directly on mathematics. So you have to dive deep into mathematics to get a proper glimpse of this algorithm. So moving on to our next algorithm, it is also very popular. It is called El-Gamal. It is an asymmetric encryption key algorithm, and it is basically used for communicating between two parties and for encrypting the message. So what this algorithm actually says is that this crypto system is based on the difficulty of finding discrete logarithm in a cyclic group, that is, even if we know g to the power a and g to the power k, it is extremely difficult to compute g to the power ak. So suppose you have a number 3 and another number 5, and also we have the main number, which is 19. Suppose you know what is 19 to the power 3. You also know what is 19 to the power 5. But then again, actually knowing the value of 19 to the power 15 becomes very difficult. So that is actually the main logic behind El-Gamal. And suppose I want to give one example. Suppose consider the same example, Alice and Bob. Bob generates a public key and a private key. Bob chooses a very large number Q and a cyclic group F subscript Q. From the cyclic group FQ, he chooses any element G and an element A such that GCD of A and Q equals 1. Then he computes H equal to G to the power A. Then Bob publishes F, H equal to G to the power A. Q and G has his public key and retains A as a private key. Also, Alice encrypts data using Bob's public key. Alice selects an element K from cyclic group F, that is this cyclic group, and such that GCD of K and Q equals 1. Then she computes P equals G to the power K and S equals H to the power K, which is eventually equal to G to the power AK. She then multiplies S with M. Then she sends P, M into S equal to G to the power K, M into S. Eventually, Bob decrypts the message. Bob calculates S dash equal to P to the power A equal to G to the power AK. He then divides M into S by S dash to obtain M as S equal to S dash. So that is basically the logic behind El-Gamal. And now moving on to our last asymmetric key algorithm, which is very popular, is ECC. It stands for elliptic curve cryptography. It is a public key encryption technique, and it is based on an elliptic curve theory that can be used to create faster, smaller, and more efficient cryptographic keys. ECC generates keys through the properties of the elliptic curve equation instead of the traditional method of generation as the product of very large prime numbers. So basically it is based on the elliptic curve theory, and it is highly efficient in terms of cryptographic keys, and ECC also generates keys through the properties of elliptic curve equation. So this is a very important equation on which the whole of ECC is based upon, and instead of the traditional method of generation as the product of very large prime numbers. Also, the technology can be used in conjunction with most public key encryption methods such as RSA and Diffie-Hellman, which we had already discussed. And according to some researchers, ECC can achieve the same level of security with a 164-bit key that other systems require a 1024-bit key. Because ECC helps to establish equivalent security with lower computing power and battery resource usage, it is becoming widely used for mobile applications. So basically it is becoming widely used for mobile applications. The use of elliptic curves in cryptography was suggested independently by Neil Koblitz and Victor S. Miller in 1985, and elliptic curve cryptography algorithms entered wide use around 2004. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, then please don't forget to give a thumbs up and also like, share and comment on this video, and also subscribe to my channel for further thrilling and important educational updates. So that's for now, and until then, keep exploring.